DOJ loses case. Federal judge dismisses lawsuit against Illinois sanctuary policies. Red Snap 2025. In a landmark decision, a federal judge has thrown out a lawsuit brought by the U.S. Department of Justice against Illinois, Cook County, and the city of Chicago. The lawsuit centered around the controversial issue of sanctuary city policies, which have long been a point of contention between federal and local authorities. But here's where it gets controversial. The judge's ruling underscores a deep divide over how immigration enforcement should be handled and who ultimately holds the power, the federal government or local jurisdictions. The lawsuit, filed by the DOJ, accused local governments of obstructing federal immigration laws. Specifically, the DOJ took issue with local regulations that prevent local law enforcement from participating in immigration enforcement activities and from sharing the immigration status of individuals, including criminals. This policy is designed to build trust between local communities and law enforcement, but the federal government argues it undermines national immigration efforts. U.S. District Court Judge Lindsay Jenkins delivered a clear message in her ruling. The federal government cannot force states to enforce federal immigration policies. In her decision, she stated, "The individual defendants are dismissed because the United States lacks standing to sue them with respect to the sanctuary policies. The federal government may not compel the states to enact or administer a federal regulatory program. While Congress has many enumerated powers and may even overtake state law, it may not wield states as federal tools." This ruling raises a critical question. Where does the line between federal and state authority truly lie? The DOJ have not yet responded to requests for comment on the ruling, leaving many wondering what their next move might be. While the case was dismissed without prejudice, meaning the DOJ could potentially appeal or refile the case, legal experts say this might be an uphill battle. ABC7 chief legal expert Gil Soffer explained that the DOJ would need to present entirely new evidence to have any chance of success. Judge Jenkins has set an August 22nd deadline for the DOJ to amend its complaint, or the dismissal will become final. Illinois Attorney General Kwane Raoul celebrated the ruling, stating, "I am pleased with today's decision, which follows the Seventh Circuit's dismissal of a similar lawsuit filed during the first Trump administration." He emphasized that Illinois' Trust Act, which outlines the state's approach to immigration enforcement, is constitutional and ensures that local law enforcement resources are used to protect communities, not enforce federal immigration laws. The Raoul also criticized the Trump administration's immigration policies, calling them cruel and draconian. Governor J.B. Pritzker echoed this sentiment, posting on social media, "Breaking, Illinois just beat the Trump administration in federal court. Their case challenging the Bipartisan Trust Act was dismissed. Unlike the president, we follow the law and listen to the courts." This statement highlights the ongoing tension between state and federal authorities over immigration policy. Cook County State's Attorney Eileen O'Neill Burke praised the ruling, stating that the Trump administration's attempts to pressure local communities into adopting federal policies are unlawful and counterproductive to fighting crime. She argued that for law enforcement to be effective, victims and witnesses of crime must feel safe coming forward, regardless of their immigration status. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's office also weighed in, emphasizing that the city's Welcoming City Ordinance, which has been in place for over 40 years, is both lawful and essential for public safety. The ordinance ensures that local law enforcement can focus on the needs of Chicagoans without being drawn into federal immigration disputes. Mayor Johnson's statement also highlighted the historical significance of the policy, which was first implemented by Chicago's first black mayor, Harold Washington. This ruling is sure to spark debate. On one hand, supporters of sanctuary city policies argue that they promote trust between law enforcement and immigrant communities, making cities safer. On the other hand, critics contend that these policies undermine federal immigration laws and create loopholes for criminals. Where do you stand on this issue? Do you believe local governments should have the authority to set their own immigration enforcement policies, or should the federal government have the final say? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. Judge dismisses DOJ lawsuit against Illinois and Chicago over sanctuary city policies. Imagine a federal judge handing a significant defeat to the Trump administration in its quest to challenge sanctuary city policies. But here's where it gets controversial. The judge dismissed the entire lawsuit against Illinois, Cook County, and Chicago, claiming the administration lacked standing to invalidate local laws that limit cooperation with federal immigration enforcement. U.S. District Judge Lindsay Jenkins ruled that these sanctuary policies do not interfere with immigration and customs enforcement in those ICE operations or infringe on the rights of private individuals working with ICE. The judge's decision means that individual defendants, including Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson and Cook County Sheriff Thomas Dart, dismissed from the lawsuit. Similarly, the Cook County Board of Commissioners is exempt as it cannot be sued separately from Cook County. Jenkins stated that the U.S. complaint is dismissed in its entirety without prejudice, setting the stage for further legal battles. Since re-entering office, President Donald Trump has taken a hard stance against undocumented immigration, particularly targeting sanctuary cities whose policies restrict local collaboration with federal immigration agencies. In February, the administration launched a lawsuit against Illinois and Chicago, alleging that the city's Welcoming City Ordinance and the Illinois Trust Act obstruct federal immigration law enforcement. The lawsuit also named Governor J.B. Pritzker, Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling, and other local officials. However, Judge Jenkins ruled that compelling state and local law enforcement to aid in deportation efforts would violate the Constitution. She argued that such action would allow the federal government to indirectly control states through intergovernmental immunity, which is explicitly forbidden by the 10th Amendment. This decision resonated with Governor Pritzker, who celebrated the ruling on his social media platform, emphasizing Illinois' commitment to following the law and respecting judicial authority. Cook County State's Attorney Eileen O'Neill Burke echoed this sentiment, stating that the Trump administration's attempts to pressure local communities into complying with federal demands are unlawful and undermine effective crime fighting. She highlighted the importance of fostering trust between law enforcement and community members, ensuring that victims and witnesses feel secure reporting crimes. The White House countered with a statement asserting that sanctuary cities compromise public safety. Abigail Jackson, spokesperson, argued that sanctuary policies hinder federal immigration enforcement, putting American citizens at risk. The Justice Department also filed similar lawsuits against other Democratic-leaning states and cities, including New York City, Colorado, and Los Angeles, citing sanctuary policies as obstacles to federal immigration enforcement. This legal saga raises critical questions about the balance between federal authority and local autonomy in immigration enforcement. As these cases continue to unfold, they will likely shape future debates on immigration policy and the role of sanctuary cities in America. What do you think? Should sanctuary city policies be upheld, or do they impede federal immigration efforts? Share your thoughts in the comments.